Hi everyone. Today I'd like to review the Astrolux C8 flashlight. This is a new flashlight as of late 2017. We'll start by showing you some of the features and describing the light. We'll move on to some night shots to show you how it performs in the dark, and then we'll do some comparisons between it and the Convoy C8, which is the most popular version of this light. And finally we'll just come back to show you how to program the light. What makes this light stand out is its high output and throw for a budget light. It produces 1300 lumens from a Cree XPL high intensity emitter, and that allows it to throw 639 meters. And that may be the longest throwing light available for a budget price. By the way, if you're interested in purchasing the light, check the video description to see if there's a coupon code for it. I don't get anything if you use it, but I'm just passing it along from Banggood. Okay, so how does this light achieve such a high throw and high output? Well, it uses a single 18650 lithium-ion battery, and it uses an FET driver in order to drive the LED directly off of the battery in maximum mode. It also has a 7135 driver that it uses in lower modes to achieve a more regulated output. So, the better your battery, the higher the output and throw of the light. I recommend using something like a Samsung 30Q battery, which is a high drain 18650 cell, and that'll give you really good results. The downside of using an FET driver is that as your battery depletes, the output of the light will drop. By my measurements, the output drops from 1300 lumens down to 900 lumens by the time your battery is half drained. The good news is that's still brighter than the competition. The 7135 chip in the light means that you don't suffer from a drop in output as the battery drains if you're using lower medium modes. For instance, the light will be 150 lumens in a medium mode on a fresh battery, and it'll be 150 lumens by the time your battery is half drained or less. This light is really well constructed, I find. It uses quality components, has good heat sinking, threads are square cut, it has a really good feel to it, the switch is good. It has really good build quality. One of the things I really like about this light is its user interface. It has a same interface as the BLF A6 flashlight, and that allows you to step both forward through modes and backwards through modes. You can program either 4 or 7 modes in a group. You can turn mode memory on or off, and the modes are really nicely spaced. Oh, by the way, strobes are hidden, so you don't accidentally get to a strobe. You can do long clicks to get back to strobes, flashing for battery checks, things like that. Okay, let's show you some outdoor shots. Here we're just stepping through the modes. You can see going from low through maximum, and it's got a fairly tight beam, as you can see on the trees. If you start on moonlight and then do a medium press, you get back to the strobe modes. First you get a maximum output, which is a nice way of getting max. Then you get a strobe, then you get a battery check mode, as you can see here, from 1 to 4 flashes. And then you'll get a bicycle strobe. Now all these are useful, I find, more in an everyday carry light. I don't find them a lot of use on a thrower, so it's kind of nice to have them hidden so you don't actually get to them. The only thing I really want is a battery check mode, so when I do want that, I can easily step through the modes backwards and get to that battery check mode. So it's kind of nice to have. I'll put some stills in this video as well. It allows me some better exposure control using a camera rather than the video. Now you can see from the pictures the beam shows up very well. It's got an intense hotspot, so the beam projects a long distance. It'll throw it to 500 meters quite well, I find. There's a fair bit of spill too though, so the ground will be well lit up while you're still able to see stuff in the distance from a long way away. Probably the best known C8 format, or compact thrower, is likely the Convoy C8. And there's good reason for that. It's a well-made flashlight. The silver version, which is the latest one introduced this year, has a good user interface. And it's quality flashlight. It's bright, has good throw, nothing wrong with it. So it's obvious to compare the Astrolux C8 to the Convoy C8. From an external point of view, they're identical, just different colors. But the body is exactly the same, the switch is the same, the head is the same, they even have the same lanyard holes. They're exactly the same. Now they do differ on the inside because they use different drivers, but they're both quality construction on the inside as well. Both good heat sinking and both good construction. One thing I don't like about the Convoy is its packaging. It just comes shipped in a cheap paper box. It doesn't have any spare O-rings, and it just comes with a lanyard. So the only way we can really compare them, though, is how they perform outdoors. So I'm going to show you some comparison shots here. Astrolux on the right, Convoy on the left. You can see here the Astrolux is quite a bit brighter. From my measurements, it's 1.6 times as bright and is 1.6 times an intense beam. So that's 1300 lumens versus about 800 lumens for the Convoy. By the way, the two lights I'm using here have the same tint, so that isn't a factor in the brightness. The Convoy actually advertises at 900 lumens. I find it really only achieves 800 lumens. The Astrolux does achieve its full 1300 lumens on a fresh cell. Because they use different drivers, the FET driver that the Astrolux uses does decrease in output as the battery diminishes in capacity. As I mentioned before, it goes from about 1300 lumens down to about 900 lumens by the time the battery is half full, however, which is still brighter than the Convoy. Now, the Convoy does also dip in brightness. This is the Convoy using 8 7135 chips, which is the brightest it is made, and it loses brightness as well, about 25%. It goes from 800 lumens down to about 600 lumens when the battery is about half full. So the Astrolux is still brighter than the Convoy at all battery levels. One other thing worth mentioning is that the Astrolux uses a time step down, where it goes from maximum down to the next brightest level. However, when it goes down to the next brightest level, that happens to be about 800 lumens, which is the brightness of the Convoy. So even though the Astrolux does have a step down, it's still just as bright as a Convoy even after the step down. You can, of course, just step back up to maximum after the step down occurs. The step down is, I think, rather short. It uses 45 seconds, which made sense on the BLF A6, which the driver is based on. I think they could push it to 3 minutes on the Astrolux C8 without it overheating. I find it starts to get warm after 45 seconds, but it's a long way from hot. I just kept boosting it up several times, and it took about 3 minutes before it started getting hot. As far as the user interface goes, they're similar. They both have their pros and cons. The Convoy has 5 different mode levels, of which you can program in 12 different groups. The Astrolux has 7 different mode levels, of which you can program in either a 7-mode group or a 4-mode group. I put together a summary chart here of how I think they compare. I think the most important thing in a thrower is its ability to throw and its brightness. And so that's why I put 3 check marks for the Astrolux C8 and how it wins in brightness and throw, 60% brighter. As far as runtime is concerned, the Convoy wins there. It has lower output, so of course it runs longer. The build quality is the same. User interfaces, they're both great interfaces. Similar pros and cons in both of them. The Convoy definitely wins in terms of tint selection. It has warm whites down to a 7A tint all the way up to cool white, 4 different tint selections. The Astrolux only comes with 2 tint selections, either a cool white or a neutral white. Convoy also wins on price. It's slightly cheaper than the Astrolux. And the Astrolux wins on the packaging and extras. It comes with O-rings, for instance. Finally, I'll just show you how to change the mode grouping. You can either select a 7-mode group or a 4-mode group. I personally like the 4-mode group because it has less selections, and I really just want maximum in a thrower. So here you just see that it has 7 modes by default, To change to a 4 mode, you click the switch a whole bunch of times, and then when you see the first set of blinks appear, just shut the light off, and you'll have now switched to a 4 mode group. So you'll miss the moonlight mode, but you'll go from low through max with 4 nicey space modes. All right, thanks for watching, everyone. See you in the next video.